Hey there, my gorgeous friends on the internet, and welcome to Fear Factor, where we are gonna learn how to set up a React project from scratch. Dum dum dum. It's terrible. Spoiler alert, it's not fun at all. But don't worry, I'm gonna show you a different method that you can set up a React project without pulling out each individual hair from your skull. I got a haircut also, so hope you're enjoying this. Okay, let's get going. So what do we need? Well, we need VS Code. And also, before we get going, actually, I do have the thing already built out here, right here, because I got a message of somebody telling me that, ooh, you are cheating. You already made the project beforehand. Well, no shit, I made the project beforehand. I'm not gonna waste your time sitting here for 2 or 3 hours until I Google things and find the different packages to set this up, because it does take time and it's not worth wasting that time. I really thought this was a very obvious thing that everybody prepares beforehand, but I guess it's not clear. So yes, I do have the project made, and it's not project, but the setup made. And no, it's not cheating if you think that it's cheating, because if you think that it's cheating, you're going to have a very bad time as a web developer or a developer in general, because you're going to Google a bunch of things, you're going to prepare a bunch of things, you're going to take notes of a bunch of things. So it's normal. Okay, let's get going. So what do we need? Well, the first thing that we need is Node.js. So first of all, what I want you to do is go here to Google and just write CodePen, right like that. And then I want you to close it because it's terrible. Okay, so next up, we write Node.js. We clickety-clackety here, and you're gonna hit recommended for most users here. And make sure you install this thing. After you install this thing, we're going to close this up, and you should be able to go here to CMD command prompt in your search. Okay, you might have terminal if you're on Mac or whatever, but we are Windows gang. So here you can write node-v like that, and you should get version 12 point whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay, just make sure it works and it's installed. Okay, so once you install this, we can close everything and we can start in VS Code. So I'm gonna make myself smaller a little bit. Actually, I'm just gonna move up here. Okay, I float, I'm a magician. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is open our terminal, and you can do that by pressing Control and tilde. If you don't know what tilde is, it's okay. You can go to View and you can hit Terminal. I'm gonna terminate you. Okay, so here what we need to do is say npm init -y and hit Enteruni. And now this is going to create us something called a package.json. And you should do this before every project that you build with React, with Angular, with whatever framework that you use. Okay, and you're going to be using this even if you build out a backend API or a backend server or whatever. So what is this package.json? This package.json basically holds information about our project. So name, the version, the description, our main endpoint here. So basically our main file, scripts, which we're going to get into in just a bit, author. But most importantly, what it holds is what kind of packages and libraries we're using in our project. So if you're using React, if you're using React DOM, if you're using an animation library, GSAP, whatever, this is going to list us all the different libraries that we have. And it also is going to list us the version of those. Okay. Now, why is this important? I'm going to tell you in just a bit. But before we do that, let's install React, because that's what we need. So we can use npm, just write npm install, and we can say react space, and then react-dom, like that, and hit enter. Okay, these are the two things that we added previously in CodePen, if you remember. Okay, so after we do that, you're going to see that we have two additional files. We have something called package lock.json, and all this does is it basically locks in the version that we're currently using, because in the future, if you have a bunch of different packages and libraries installed, some of them might be updated. And there happen to be cases where a package gets updated and it doesn't work with your project anymore. And you don't want to break that, right? So you still want everything to work just fine. So this package lock JSON basically locks the version of all the different packages that you have. So that's all that does. And node modules basically holds all the different libraries and packages that you install. This can get quite large. It can get to half a gigabyte or 2 gigabytes, depending how many things you have. And this is another benefit of package.json, is when you actually want to share this project with somebody else, you don't send this whole code to them. You don't send this node modules because this is so large and with so many different files. And also, you never really work with this node modules. You never open this up and go inside and look at these things, okay? Generally, you never touch this. So what you do instead is you send them a package.json. And what you can do from the package.json is you can just run npm install. And it's basically going to install all the different dependencies that this project has. So you can basically just send somebody the package.json, they can run npm install, and they're automatically going to have the node modules. Okay, so that's another awesome thing about npm. Okay, so we have these two things. Now, if you remember in CodePen, having these two things allowed us to use react.createElement and do all of that good stuff. However, we learned in the previous episode that we can use JSX. And if you remember, we used a post processor called Babel. So we also need to add those different packages. So I have it written down here because there's quite a few of them. So make sure you type it correctly with me. Also, let me change the terminal font size here so you can see it easier. Font size. Editor font size, let's also make this bigger, 26. And there should be one with the terminal. There we go. Let's make this like 20. Too big? No, it's not too big. Okay, that's good. I'm happy. Okay, so open this sucker up. Let me make sure I'm not blocking anything. This is what you need to write. So copy paste with me. Babel, like that with an @ symbol. Actually, we need to say npm. npm install Babel -core, / or whatever, core, like that. Okay, that's the first package. Then we need to say Babel Preset -env. And last, actually two more, Babel Preset React. And the last one is Babel Loader. Now this one does not have an @ symbol, so make sure you do not add that. Okay, so what are these things? Okay, so Babel Core is the basic package. Then we have Preset env, which basically allows you to use modern JavaScript. So ES6, ES7, ES8, ES9, ES10, ES whatever. So the modern JavaScript code, and it automatically transpiles it down to older JavaScript code, so it works in all the browsers. Babel Preset React basically allows you to take JSX code and turn it into vanilla React. So it transpiles our JSX code, and Babel Loader is kind of a intermediary package that connects Babel to Webpack. Okay, so let's install this. What is Webpack though? What are we connecting Babel to? Webpack is a package that allows us, well, let me put it this way. Our current situation, we can write React code here, and we can even use Babel. However, we have these packages installed on our computer. You can imagine if we put this online in the browser, we don't have React installed there, or we don't have React DOM, or all the other packages that we might install. So we don't have those. So Webpack, this new package that we're going to install, basically takes the React code and everything that we have here that we're using as a dependency. It takes that and it jumbles it up with our React code to push up a final JavaScript file that contains everything to make it work on all the browsers and all that good stuff, okay? So it basically takes your code, it takes React, the library, and it combines it so you can serve it to the web. Now, what Babel also does is you can add things to it, like what Webpack does. What I want to say is you can add Babel to it to transpile that code. You can also add things to minify All right, so there's different packages that you can add to Webpack to basically automate stuff for you. So you can imagine when you finally build out the project and you want to push it to the web, you can add different packages to Babel to basically minify your CSS, make your files smaller, optimize your thing. Maybe you want to add a Sass, so you can add a loader to Sass to basically, you can add a loader to Webpack with Sass to basically take your CSS and turn it into Sass or whatever. Okay, so these loaders that you see here, that's their function, is to connect to Webpack. So we use Babel loader to connect it to Webpack. We also can use a CSS loader to add it to Webpack. And these are basically all the dependencies of Babel. See, I told you this gets a bit complicated, but you wanted to see it set up from scratch. Okay, so okay, now that we have these Babel things, let's set up the Babel file. So you need to do this. You need to write Babel rc, like that. So make sure you add a dot beforehand. Make sure you write it this way. Okay, so dot Babel rc. And here what you need to do is just add some curly brackets and write presets, like that. All right, make sure it's in quotes and in array here. So here, again, you add double quotes and you say Babel preset React, comma, Babel preset env. So you're just basically telling it, hey, I want to take React code, JSX code and transpile that, and I also want to take modern JavaScript code and transpile that. These are your presets. Okay, so we can close this thing up. That's good. Now we need to add Webpack and connect Babel to it. So here, let's go back here and let's write npm install. Let me drag this up again. Okay, and here we need to add Webpack. Okay, then Webpack CLI and also Webpack dev server, like that with dashes. So what this dev server allows us to do is it's not actually going to build out a final file for us. It actually allows us to use Webpack in a development environment. And you're going to see how that's going to work. So make sure you install these 3 files. Also, please don't worry about remembering all of these things, because you either set this up once or you can Google for these packages and set it up once and you're done. You can reuse it as many times as you want. Or again, optionally, what you can do is use something called Create React App, which we're going to get into at the end of this episode. But I want to show you kind of the process of how everything kind of works. Okay, so now we have Webpack. We can connect it to Babel and all of that other good stuff. Okay, so let's see. Let's close this up. And what we need to do is create a Webpack file now. So we can say webpack.config.js, like that. Okay, now Webpack is a super deep topic, to be honest. And we can kind of write it here. Should I copy paste? I'm not going to copy paste it. Let's kind of set it up for, yeah, I'm going to copy paste it and you can copy paste it. I'm going to leave it in the description and I'm just going to explain the code because that's going to be way simpler. Okay, so first of all, copy paste the code that I have attached. And you're going to see, basically, I want you to ignore this because we haven't set this up yet. But here what we basically do is we have a module exports and we are basically telling it at which file to look at. So we're going to have an index.js and it's going to output it at the end. And it's going to take that code and our React code and everything down here. If we take a look, it's going to say, hey, make sure you take a look at all the JS files and JSX files and whatever, and make sure you resolve them. And also make sure you don't add the node modules. And down here, as you can see, we have a module rules or whatever. And here we're basically saying, hey, if you have a file with JSX, make sure to use the Babel loader on it. Okay, so that should work. Again, don't worry too much about Webpack because again, this can be like a 2-hour video about Webpack because it gets quite complicated. But essentially, that's all this is doing. It's going to take your code, it's going to transpile it, and then at the end, you can spit out a finished version of your code. So let's set everything up. I'm just creating a new folder here, source, and this is where we're going to add all of our React code. So first of all, let's just do a app.js. So new app.js, like that. And let's write our simple component. So in CodePen, we basically started using React like this. React.create element or whatever, or using JSX. But here we actually need to import it into our file. So here we can just say import React from actually we can just say React like that. Okay, so we're importing it from the node modules and saying that, hey, this file should use React. And we're gonna see that with React DOM as well, like import React DOM like that from React DOM. And then we can just use React DOM dot render blah, 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 okay? But for now, let's just create a simple component here. I'm gonna create a variable called const app. Actually, this is gonna be a function. So we're just gonna run an arrow function here. And I'm just gonna add a pair of parentheses here because this is gonna return something for us. Now you saw me use it this way, curly brackets, return, like that. Okay, and basically this is the same thing as this. You can just simplify this by writing just parentheses, and this is implicitly gonna return whatever we add in here. Okay, so there we go. And then in here, what we can do is just add some JSX. I'm gonna create a div. If this doesn't work, type div and hit tab. If it doesn't work, you can go down here to where it says JavaScript. And basically what you can do is write here JavaScript React like that and click on that. And now it's gonna detect JSX for you. You can also configure a file here. So configure file association with JS. If you click on this, where is it? I'm not sure, because the problem with this is that whenever you create another new app.js or whatever component you create, this is going to reset. I think I'm going to make a new episode to set that up as well, because I do want to set up prettier and all of that good stuff. Or we might do it actually at the end of this episode. But for now, let's just create a super, super simple React component here. Hello, React. Okay, just super simple. And at the end, what I'm going to do is say export default app. Okay, so basically, if you want to take a component and send it to another place, this is how you can do it. You can say export default app, or whatever the name of this function is. Okay, basically what I want to do is separate our app here with the render that we saw previously. So here, I'm just going to create another file called index.js, like that. And here, again, I'm just going to import React. So import React from React, like that. And here I'm going to also import React DOM. Make sure you all write it uppercase here, from React DOM, like that. And finally, if you remember, what we need to do is render out our app. So React DOM dot render, and here we need to pass an app, like that, comma, document dot query selector, and here we can pass in root. We haven't set this up yet, but we're gonna do it in just a bit. Okay, so I rendered out app, but I don't have app here. So again, the way you can do that is you can export default app like that, and then you can import it in here. So I can import app now. The way you can do that is just import app from, and you can just go /app. So super simple. If you want to import something, you say import app from app or whatever the function name is. And here you just export it by its name. And that's it. It's super simple. Okay, so now we set everything up here. The last thing we need to do is create our index.html. So we can basically put our app in this root to inject it. So new file, index.html. And here we can just write doc and tab. We can say React here. And here we just add a div with an ID of root and hit save. Okay, so again, just to recap everything, to make it super clear, we created a component here. This is how we create a React component. We need to import React on every component that you make. So if you want to make a component, you need to import React. Second step, this is how we create a component. Now we did it a bit differently previously. We did function app like this, return, but this is a little bit more of a modern way of writing it. Okay, so feel free to use whichever you prefer. I'm gonna stick to this one. Okay, so it's the same thing. Okay, we just added some JSX here, and then we exported it just to keep everything separate and clear. Here, again, we added these things, and then we imported our component, and then we rendered it out. And we specifically told it where to render it out, which is in the root file. Okay, whew, and that's it. We can check to see if this works. So what we need to do is run Webpack. But before we do that, we need to set up Webpack. So let's go to our package.json, scroll all the way up here to the scripts, and we can add specific scripts depending on what we want to do. So if I'm working in a development environment, I can set up a specific script to do that. If I finally want to push out the code so everybody in the world can see and optimize it and whatever, I can set up a specific script to do that. So let's set those things up. So first of all, I'm just going to get rid of everything here in the scripts. I'm going to add a pair of double quotes. I'm going to say start. Okay, then the double dot, how do you say this? Colon, a colon, colonoscopy. That's what I'm going to give you. Okay, and then another pair of quotes. And here I'm just going to say Webpack dev server, like that. This is the one we're going to need to use. And then dash dash hot, because you're hot, and dash dash open. Okay, so basically when we open up here our terminal and we say npm start, this command is gonna run. All right, so it's kind of the same thing as writing it here. npm and just say Webpack like that. And Webpack dev server dash dash, oh, but you don't want to do that. So we write a script here, so we just write start. Okay, so this is going to open up a development server for us to see our React project. Hot here means that if we make changes, it automatically is going to update itself. And that open, I think, is just going to open up another page for us automatically. I believe that's what that does. Okay, and then we might have another one, which is called build. So add a comma here and then build. And this one is after we want to actually publish our app. So Webpack here, just simple Webpack. And then we're going to say config, like that. And then Webpack dot config.js dash dash mode production. Okay, I think this is the whole thing. Let me make sure nothing is messed up. Okay, so basically here you're telling Webpack to build out the final product, and make sure you use the Webpack Config Js file to do all the setting up. And that's it. Hit save. So let's give this a shot and see if it actually works. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and I'm going to write npm start. Okay, and we have an error. Fantastic. So let's take a look at what's the error. Figure it out. Okay, so it says cannot find module HTML Webpack plugin. So for now, what I'm going to do is just remove this because I haven't explained what that thing does for now. So go here. I'm going to just quote this out, and I'm going to cut this out as well. The plugins, this whole section. Let's plug that out like that. Let's see if it works now, because I want to show you the problem it does. Okay, so it opens it up, but it still doesn't work. Oh, okay, now we have an uglier error. Okay, so this is a message that it's a bit harder to figure it out. Error in source.js. Okay, so let's see here. Something with the Babel core library. Let's see if that is messed up. Babel loader. Babel core. Index.js. Here, let me make sure we are rendering everything out correctly. App should be fine. So either we messed up something here in the Babel RC. Let me just make sure everything is typed correctly. This is typed correctly. No, it's not. Babel Preset env. Okay, so this one should be here with a dash. I'm not sure if that was the problem, but we're gonna see if it fixes it. Okay, so to close this up, you can say Control C and then hit Y and hit enter. Let's try that again, npm start. Okay, it opened it up here and it says compiled successfully. However, it didn't open up our little app here. So it just opened up this thing. Okay, so let's see why that is. Let's see our index.html. The problem might be here. The good thing, actually, it didn't error out, so that's good. Shouldn't be an issue here. Okay, I think I know where the issue is. It's in Webpack Config here. Source index. Okay, so this is good. Let's scroll, Babel. Okay, so yeah, I think I need to use this thing, this Webpack plugin for the HTML. Okay, so let's uncomment this out. And let's uncomment this out and actually install this package as well. And then I'm going to explain what it does. Oh, see, it's very difficult to set this thing up. So let's npm install. Let's do HTML Webpack plugin from here. Okay, and hit enter. Okay, so what Webpack plugin does is it basically finds your HTML file, and whenever you build out your project, it automatically is going to link the generated app.js or the final JS file for you. So take a look. Now it's going to work if I run npm start. Let's see if our React project actually works. Okay, so we have hello React. As you can see, nothing actually gets built out yet. So this is our development environment. So again, that's the whole setup kind of there, but we can go here and just mess around with our components. So if I hit save, as you can see, it automatically updates. So this is kind of the development environment doing all the magic. But at the end, when we finally want to build out the code, let me close this, Control C. If I say npm run build and hit enter, it's going to run the production one and it's going to build out a new folder here. And as you can see, we have our bundle.js. So again, this is the final code that's going to go up in the browser. And this is quite crazy. And why is it crazy? Because everything is jumbled up here. So everything that we used, React, React DOM, our JavaScript code, if you search here for app or hello React, as you can see, our code is right there. And as you can see, at the end of the day, what it is going to do is going to create an element using React, just like that. Okay, and what that HTML plugin crap is going to do is it's going to generate the HTML file here, and it's automatically going to link the new bundle.js for you that it just generated. All right, so it does it automatically for you. Because right here, as you can see, we're not linking anything. We don't have a script with a source of our index.js here, right? Or something like that to link our project. No, we don't have anything. Because the dev server is automatically going to do everything in memory. But when we finally build out the project and we want to push it to the web, our HTML bullshit, oh my God, what is it called? HTML Webpack plugin thing is going to generate it for you, okay? And that's one of them because we have multiple problems when we set up this thing from scratch. Oh, was I blogging here? I'm sorry. Hopefully I wasn't blocking the screen too much. Because the issue that we're having, if you remember, we can also use CSS here. And the problem is we cannot import it without using another kind of loader. So kind of like we did here with the HTML plugin thing. So take a look. In source, I'm going to create a new file, app.css. I'm just going to say body, color red. Hit save. Let's see, does that work? No, it doesn't work. So our CSS is not working. Nice. Or let's just add a class name to this. Class name, set this equal to, I'm gonna say, wow. Okay, so here we can go and say, wow, color blue. Hit save. Okay, what I'm gonna do is actually delete this dist. We don't need it anymore, and just say npm start and just leave this open. Okay, so again, now when we have our development environment open, I can make changes here and it's gonna update automatically. But as you can see, our CSS is not working. So we need to add that to Webpack to make a loader. So I already did it here. We just need to install the packages. Again, this is kind of just saying, hey, make sure you check all the CSS files and use the loader and the CSS loader or whatever Webpack uses to make our CSS work. So let's install these. So let's close this up. Say npm install, what are these called? Style loader and CSS loader. And there's also, oh, I misspelled that. No, npm install style dash loader and CSS dash loader. And then, okay, there you can also add a Sass loader if you want to work with Sass. Again, this can be like so deep, and you can customize this in 10 bajillion ways. Okay, npm start. Let's see if that works. As you can tell by now, I'm going crazy and I hate this because this is not what I wouldn't use this. Like, I wouldn't set things up from scratch. But again, I kind of want to show you the pain and the struggle and kind of like how what everything here is doing. So now that we added those loaders, how can we use our CSS file? Well, we can go here and just say import app.css. That's the whole thing you need to do. And now if we check, oh, we got the thing blue. Thank the load. Okay, so that's good. So everything is working the way we want it to. What happens if you add an image though? We have another issue. Let me go and find an image here for you really quickly. Okay, here's a thumbnail that I used. I'm gonna just drag this in here. Okay, so I have this thumbnail right here. If I go here and say image source dot slash thumb.jpg, hit save. Wow, you're surprised. It doesn't really work. Great. So lovely. So what we need to do is load in a file loader too to Webpack to make that work. So let's do that. Okay, I don't think I even did it here in the previous one. Let me see. Yeah, we don't even have a file loader here, so my code is useless. We need to find it online. So let me go here. It's called file loader. So open up the terminal, close everything up again, and say npm install file-loader. Also, you might see this a lot of times. npm install --dev file loader. And let's actually do that. What this means, --dev, is you're only needing this on your computer to actually build out the final file. You don't actually need this packaged together in the final code. Okay? So a lot of people usually add this --dev for the packages that don't end up as the main important thing in your code. It's just something used for development purposes. And you can do this to all of those packages. So let's just add the file loader. And then we have to go to Webpack and say, hey, if you detect a JPEG, if you detect a PNG or an SVG. So let's do that. So go here after the test here, whichever you want. So maybe this one. Add another pair of curly brackets. I'm going to have this whole Webpack file ready for you, so don't worry about it. I can just test like that, and I can add a // This looks ugly, I know. And in here, I can say PNG, SVG, let's do JPEG, GIF, which theme are you on? Comma, so if you detect those files, then use the file loader. And that's it. What did I mess up? Oh, this needs to be the other way around. Is that good? Why is this not working for me? It's working here. What did I copy the wrong way? Oh my goodness. Like, this is correct. Should I just copy paste this one from up here? Because I messed something up. Okay, so let's test. I'm gonna write it again. PNG, SVG, let's do JPEG and GIF. And here, just gonna get rid of everything and just say file loader, like that, and hit save. Okay, so we set up that as well. So now we can import our picture. Okay, so now that we added that, we can finally import the damn thing in here. So how do you import a picture and a React component? Well, we can go up here and say import, and we can give it any name we want. I'm just gonna say thumb from / and I'm just gonna say thumb1.jpg. So whatever the name of the file is here, and hit save. And I can go here and now say image, and the source, just trust me, copy, paste with me, and I'm gonna explain in the next episode what we're doing here. Just add a pair of curly brackets and say thumb, and that's it, hit save. So now we can run npm start again, and we finally have the whole setup up and running. So there we go, we can import images, we can import PNGs, GIFs, we can add CSS, and we can start working on our React app. So again, if I want to create a new component here, I can say nav.js. I can import React like that, then create a nav is equal to, I'm just going to return some JSX here. So I can say a nav, h1 logo, and then a UL with some LIs, home, blah, 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 right? And then I have the component, I want to export it, export nav, export default nav, like that. Hit save, and I can just bring it in here. So I can say import components to keep everything nice and organized. I can just say import nav from / nav. Okay, and I can come here anywhere I want, maybe down up here at the top, and I can just render out our nav like that and hit save. Let's take a look if it works. There we go. We have our nav up and running. If I want to style it, I can create the CSS file. I can create a separate one for it if I want to, and everything is going to work just fine. Okay, so now that we saw everything set up, we're not going to be using this. I just wanted for you to kind of see what the deal is. So what we're going to do is set it up in a super easy way that's going to be good for 99% of everybody. So let's close everything up. I'm going to create a new folder here, open folder. I'm going to say easy setup here. And what you need to do is just open this up, open up the terminal, and just write npx create React app, like that with a dash, npx create React app, and just give it a name. Simple React. Hit enter. That's it. Everything is going to install. Most of the things that we did, it's going to set it up automatically for you. And not only that, some other dependencies that are pretty nice to have, like CSS modules and a bunch of other crap that I'm going to get into later on. But it's also going to add optimization. So when you finally build out your project, it's going to do a super nice job. So we haven't set those things up yet in our Webpack example of adding optimization things like on pictures and whatever. So this is going to do it automatically for you. And now you're going to see basically the file structure, and you're not going to be scared of what are these files? What's going on here? It's all going to make sense. So let's just wait for this to install. I'm going to close up the other thing. So let me see where it is. Okay, never mind. I already closed it up. So this is going to take some time, like 20 fucking hours. I swear. I'm sorry. YouTube, don't demonetize me. It says a couple of minutes, but it's 10 fucking hours. Okay. So there we go. Install faster. Do it faster. Please do it faster. Okay. Should be about done. Whew. Tough. I know. Life is tough sometimes. That's why we use Create React App. There we go. So finally, when it's done, you just need to go inside this folder. Okay, it's still installing packages. There we go. Oh my goodness. Why you do this? Why you want to make my life miserable? Okay, so after you do this, you're going to see cd simple react. So copy that, paste it here, enter. That's just going to open up this up for you. And then you can just say npm start. And look at that. We have a super simple base React project for us up and going. Okay, and you're going to see it's almost the same file structure. We have node modules. We have something called public here, which just holds the images and the index.html. So the setup is a bit different here, but we have a source here, exactly the same with app.js. So if we take a look here, look at that. Importing app.css, importing a logo. We have a super simple function app here. We're going to delete everything here and start from scratch though. Okay, which we're going to export to our index.js. And in here, we basically just render it out here in React DOM. Now this has react.strict mode. That's fine, don't worry about it. It's just so it gives us basically errors and more precise things for us to see if we mess something up. So that's really great. But yeah, it's pretty much the same setup. We have a logo here. We can put it wherever we want. We have, even for testing, everything set up. And yeah, package.json. So everything is all up and nice and running. It even added a git ignore. So if you want to push this code up for everybody else to see, it made sure to not add the node modules and all of these other different things. Okay, but take a look in package.json. If we want, we can still run build. If we finally want to push this up on a live server, and this is how we are going to move on to from here on out. Okay, so hope you're tired. Hope you're not tired. I'm tired because this is just such a cleaner way and easier way than setting everything up from scratch. But hope you can understand what's going up behind the scenes when we're setting up a React project or whatever Create React app is doing. And now we can write some React code. Okay.